Hi, welcome back. So, we'll learn some more machine learning terminology in this lesson, and we'll specifically focus on supervised learning versus unsupervised learning. So, let's get going. So, what are the two very important broad machine learning tasks? There are two of them which are very, very important, and that is one is supervised learning and another is unsupervised learning. So typically a task in a machine learning, when we are talking about a task, we are talking about a specific objective for your machine learning algorithm. That's what we'll try to understand based on within the supervised learning and unsupervised learning, what are the specific objectives that are there for various algorithms. We'll try to learn in this lesson. So let's define what is supervised learning. So supervised learning, it includes tasks for labeled data. So we talked about if at all a data set consists of a ground truth or a target variable specified to train the ML model, then we are calling it as labeled data. And when do we have such labeled data? That labeled data can be used to learn and build uh, predictive models. That is the kind of models we create within the supervised learning model. So supervised learning model, they include tasks for labeled data, and it is often used as an advanced form of predictive modeling. So what is unsupervised learning? Unsupervised learning, they include tasks for unlabeled data. If your data set doesn't consist of the ground truth, it doesn't consist of your target variable, then your ML models cannot learn from those ground truths specified in that. They have to still understand based on the underlying relationships that are possible in the data and be able to cluster them, group them, and segment them in a kind of way that is truly the underlying data represents that kind of segmentation. So it is a form of automated data analysis, unsupervised learning. So let's keep that in mind and try to understand further. So let us go to supervised learning. So for supervised learning, each data point must be labeled with the correct answer or the ground truths. Only then can you build a predictive model, because you must tell the algorithm what is correct while training it. Then when you show it an unseen data, based on the training, the model will help you to predict. So that is how supervised learning tasks are there. Then there are two very specific supervised learning tasks, and to perform those tasks, algorithms. So one problem is regression problem, we call it. So supervised learning task for modeling continuous target variable. If your target variable, the nature of your target variable is a continuous numerical value, then we perform a task called regression task. So there are set of algorithms, they help you to do this regression task. And if your supervised learning task for is actually there for modeling categorical or target variables like the species of the flower or the employee, whether somebody resigned or not, these are categorical values. If your target variables are specified using those categorical values, then we do a task called classification task. So keep that in mind. So supervised learning, when you have target variables specified or the ground truths are available for your input data, then you can perform supervised learning tasks. And again, within that, if the ground truth or the target variable represents a continuous numerical value, then we perform what we call the regression task. If the target variable is a categorical value, then we call it as classification task. So keep that in mind. So then let's go and talk about unsupervised learning. So in unsupervised learning, as we told, you have unlabeled data because there is no predetermined correct answer. There is no target variable. So you will allow the algorithm to directly learn patterns from the data without supervision. That's why we are referring to it as unsupervised learning. There is no ground truth. There are a set of input features, and within that, the ML model algorithm should be able to understand the patterns and be able to use it for segmentation. So in case of unsupervised data, because there is no ground truth, to build good models, you may require more data than that is required in a supervised kind of context. So the most common unsupervised learning task is clustering. That is how we use that word, clustering. And clustering is the unsupervised learning task for finding groups within your data. And when you have unlabeled data, you don't have a target variable that you can try to predict it. So instead, you will allow your algorithms to directly learn structure from the data. So that is what we call unsupervised learning task. So in supervised learning, we have the ground truth or the target variables available. If the target variable, the nature of the target variable is a continuous numeric value, we refer to that algorithms as regression algorithms. And if we are dealing with categorical values, then we are calling it as classification problem, and we deal with classification algorithms. And when we come to unsupervised data, unsupervised learning, there is no labeled data. So because you don't have labeled data with you, or there is no target variable, your algorithms must learn the unlabeled data. So we call that problem as clustering problem. So keep that in mind. So there are other machine learning tasks as well. There is something called auto encoding, dimensionality reduction, feature extraction, anomaly detection, computer vision. These are all variety of ML tasks are still defined. Some of them are actually built on top of this first three. So we will learn in this class the big three most common tasks, and those are regression tasks, classification tasks, and clustering tasks. So we'll do one project each for each of these ML tasks and learn hands-on how to apply some of the algorithms and also apply all the tools to build industry strength models. So before we conclude, let us quickly answer these questions. So already we have seen this data. This is a data of HR information. So here there is a target variable called status, and it takes binary value, either left or employed. So my question to you is, what machine learning task possible for this job? Yes, it is a data with target variable available. So we will perform supervised learning, but within supervised learning, because it has a categorical value with a binary classification, so we use supervised learning and we use binary classification tasks. So you're right. So let us look at another database, that is our iris data set. So here, what is the target variable? The target variable is the species. And what is the nature of this target variable? It is a multi-category discrete value, one of the three species. It is not binary value. So what is the machine learning task possible for the job? Yes, it is a supervised learning task because you have the ground truth available, but the category, the nature of the target variable is categorical value consisting of more than two potential values. So it is supervised learning and multi-class classification task. So let us look at the third example. Here is a real estate data set here. So here we have target variable. So it's a supervised learning. But what is the nature of this target variable? It is a continuous numeric value. So what is the machine learning task we'll do here? It is supervised learning task and it is a regression task. Agreed? So let us go and talk about the another table that we have talked. This is a transaction of e-commerce invoice data. So here we don't have target variable. So there is no target variable. So what machine learning task possible for the job? Because there is no ground truth available in this data set, there is no target variable, we cannot perform supervised learning tasks. We have to go for unsupervised learning tasks. So it is unsupervised learning, and the specific algorithms that we'll be using is clustering type of algorithms. So please keep that in mind. And another question, let us answer. So with what type of learning will you need to have access to a lot of data? Unsupervised, semi-supervised, supervised, tutored. Which one? Yes, as we talked about it, unsupervised doesn't have the ground truth in the data set, or the target variables are not specified to train the model. So we may require more records or more data set, more numbers of data, then we'll be able to perform this task more efficiently. So the next question, which one of the following do you use when you look for predicting trends, continuous numeric value, instead of trying to classify data into different groups? A, multi-class classification. B, binary classification. C, regression problem. D, unsupervised learning. So you are dealing with a predicted the target variable, which is continuous numeric value. So what task you will use? It is a regression problem that you will be solving. Okay, let's go with the last question before we conclude. So please read the statements here and suggest whether it is a true statement or a false statement. So before starting an ML project, it is not necessary to understand the problem you are solving. True or false? Yes, you are right, it is false. You have to understand the problem that you are solving upfront, then you will be able to do better. The second statement, data quality is not very important to deliver a good ML solution. True or false? Yes, you are right, it is a false statement. We talked about the important aspect of data quality. A good data can anytime beat a fancy algorithm. So keep that in mind. The third point that we are reading here, target variable represents the ground truth and it is required for supervised learning. Yes or no? Yes, you are right. Target variables are needed and the ground truth is needed, and at that time you can perform supervised learning. Fourth point is, establishing a quantifiable goal helps you know when your model is good enough. Yes or no? Yes, a quantifiable goal is very much needed. Otherwise, you run a risk of wandering here and there without reaching your objective. So you are right. So with that in mind, let's hope you have enjoyed this session. So learn and have fun.